Rachel had always believed that love, true, unwavering love, could withstand anything. Her marriage to Daniel was supposed to be the kind of relationship others envied. The kind built on trust, passion, and understanding. But lately, something had shifted. The warmth in his eyes that once made her feel safe and adored now felt distant. Like a fading ember. They still went through the motions: morning kisses, date nights, shared laughter with friends, but deep inside, Rachel felt like a stranger in her own marriage. It wasn't just the routine that exhausted her, it was the growing emptiness between them. The silent gaps in their conversations. The way Daniel would watch her as if searching for something but never saying what. She found herself craving something more, though she wasn't sure what. Excitement? Passion? A reminder that she was still desired? When Daniel suggested a weekend getaway with their closest friends, Jake and Liam, Rachel clung to the idea like a lifeline. Maybe this was exactly what they needed: a break from reality. A chance to reconnect, to rekindle the fire that had slowly begun to burn out. What she didn't know was that this trip wouldn't just change their marriage, it would change everything. The city shimmered under the golden glow of the setting sun, its skyline a promise of adventure. As Rachel stepped into the sleek black car, she felt a flicker of something: anticipation. Maybe even hope. Daniel was in the driver's seat, his usual confident smirk in place. But she noticed the tension in his grip on the wheel. In the backseat, Jake and Liam bantered effortlessly, their laughter rolling through the car like a familiar melody. Their presence was comforting, yet there was something unspoken between them all, a charged energy that hummed beneath the surface. The road stretched endlessly ahead, the air thick with possibilities. As they drove, Daniel reached for Rachel's hand, intertwining their fingers for the first time in what felt like forever. The warmth of his touch sent a jolt through her, a reminder of what they once had. But just as quickly as the moment came, it passed. He pulled away, refocusing on the road. Rachel exhaled, turning her gaze to the city lights on the horizon. Was this trip truly a chance to reignite their love? Or was it the beginning of something entirely unexpected? Deep down, she knew this night would change everything. The hotel was tucked away from the chaos of the city, a secluded retreat draped in dim lighting and quiet luxury. Rachel stepped inside, her heels clicking against the marble floors, her pulse quickening. The air smelled of expensive cologne and something unspoken, a feeling she couldn't quite place. Daniel walked beside her, his hand at the small of her back, a gesture that once made her feel secure. Now, it felt rehearsed. Jake and Liam trailed behind, their low voices blending into the hum of the lobby. As they entered their suite, Rachel took in the sight: candles flickering, a bottle of wine chilling by the window, petals scattered across the bed. It was beautiful, yet something about it felt too perfectly arranged. Daniel's eyes gleamed with something unreadable as he poured her a glass of wine. She took a slow sip, feeling the warmth trickle down her throat. Jake settled onto the couch with ease, while Liam leaned against the wall, his gaze lingering on Rachel for a second too long. The air in the room shifted, thickened, and suddenly, Rachel wasn't sure if this night was about rekindling old sparks or igniting an entirely new kind of fire. The atmosphere in the suite grew heavier, charged with something Rachel couldn't quite define. She could feel it in the way Daniel poured her another glass of wine, the way Jake's smirk deepened as he leaned back on the couch, watching the night unfold like he already knew where it was headed. And then there was Liam, quiet, brooding, his gaze flickering toward her in a way that made her stomach tighten. The room felt warmer, suffocating almost, yet Rachel couldn't bring herself to step away. Daniel turned to her, his voice smooth, almost rehearsed. "I want tonight to be different," he said, setting down his glass. Rachel met his gaze, searching for an explanation, but before she could speak, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a silk blindfold. "Trust me," he murmured. Her breath hitched as the fabric slid over her eyes, the darkness amplifying every sound, every shift in the air. She felt Daniel's presence beside her, familiar, grounding until it wasn't. A different touch, featherlight, traced the length of her arm. A sharp inhale, not hers. The realization struck her like lightning. Someone else was standing close. Too close. Rachel's pulse pounded. What was happening? And why wasn't Daniel stopping it? Rachel's heart pounded as the blindfold remained in place, intensifying every sensation. She felt Daniel's familiar presence beside her, his warmth a steady anchor in the unknown. But then another touch, different, unfamiliar, a whisper of fingertips against her wrist, a sharp inhale that wasn't hers. She swallowed hard, trying to steady her breath, her senses sharpened by the absence of sight. A hand strong, deliberate, skimmed the side of her neck, barely grazing her skin, yet igniting something deep in her chest. It wasn't Daniel's touch. She knew his hands, the weight of them, the way they fit against her body. This was someone else. Relax. Daniel's voice came, smooth, coaxing, but it only made her muscles tense. The room felt like it was shrinking, thick with something unsaid. Another voice, closer than she expected. You're shaking, Liam murmured, his voice a low rumble that sent an unexpected shiver down her spine. She barely had time to process it before another presence, Jake, stepped closer, his breath warm against her shoulder. Rachel's mind raced, the weight of their eyes, their closeness, the silent agreement between Daniel and them was deafening. And worst of all, Daniel wasn't stopping it. He wanted this. Rachel's pulse roared in her ears as the blindfold slipped away. The room was bathed in soft, flickering candlelight, casting long shadows that danced along the walls. But it wasn't the dim glow that sent a chill down her spine, it was the three men standing before her. Daniel, her husband, watched from the chair across the room, his expression unreadable, his eyes dark with something she couldn't name. Liam and Jake were closer, their presence overwhelming. Liam stood at her side, his gaze locked onto hers, searching, waiting. Jake, ever the instigator, smirked, his confidence radiating as he reached forward, fingers trailing lightly down her arm. Her skin burned beneath his touch, a stark contrast to the cold fear creeping up her spine. Rachel's instincts screamed for her to move, to step back, to demand answers, but her body betrayed her, frozen between fear, intrigue, and an unspoken temptation. Breathe. Daniel finally spoke, his voice calm, calculated. Breathe? How could she, when the world as she knew it had just cracked open beneath her feet? The weight of the moment pressed down on her, suffocating and intoxicating all at once. She had a choice, but was she ready to make it? Rachel's heart pounded as she sat there, the weight of the situation settling over her like a thick fog. The night had started innocently enough just to get away with Daniel, Jake, and Liam, but now, with Daniel watching silently, his eyes glinting with something unreadable, the room felt suffocating. His lack of reaction, the strange calmness in his gaze, only amplified the unease building within her. Liam and Jake, emboldened by the silence, continued their approach, their hands gentle yet firm as they traced over her skin. Rachel's mind raced. What was happening? This wasn't the adventure she had envisioned. The thrill of the unknown had morphed into a deep, unsettling anxiety. She glanced at Daniel, searching for something, anything that could explain this bizarre situation. But his expression remained unreadable. His silence, rather than offering comfort, felt like a test of boundaries, of trust, of their marriage itself. Her breath caught as Jake's fingers brushed the side of her neck, his touch both tender and invasive. And yet, even as her body responded with a shiver, she couldn't escape the underlying fear of crossing a line she couldn't uncross. With each passing second, Rachel realized the choice she faced. Would she embrace the uncertainty or pull away, reclaiming control before it was too late? The night had begun with excitement, but now Rachel was consumed by confusion. The atmosphere in the room felt thick with tension, every breath she took seeming heavier than the last. The soft glow of candlelight flickered against the shadows, casting a dreamlike haze over the situation. Mark's voice, steady yet strangely cold, echoed in her mind. This is your choice, Rachel. You can stop at any time. But the words didn't offer solace, they felt like a challenge, a test of her trust, her boundaries, and her marriage. Jake and Liam, each with their own quiet intensity, continued their touch, their movements insistent yet careful. The sensation of their hands on her skin was an undeniable wave. But it clashed with the emotions crashing inside her. She felt the pull of something unfamiliar, a dangerous curiosity intertwined with a deep-rooted sense of guilt. Why was Mark allowing this? Was this truly what he wanted? Or was this some twisted game of control? Rachel's pulse quickened as she caught Mark's gaze once more. His eyes were on her, searching, waiting. The room felt like a stage, and she was the unwilling actor in this scene that was far beyond her control. Would she pull back, or would she surrender to this unknown, exploring the blurry line between trust and desire? The choice loomed larger than ever, and she felt herself teetering on the edge. The silence between Rachel and Daniel was suffocating the next morning. The room, once filled with whispered desires and the flicker of candlelight, now felt cold and unwelcoming. Daniel sat by the window, his back to her, the light from the morning sun casting long shadows on the floor. Rachel stood, unsure of what to say, her mind still racing from the events of the previous night. She had given in, allowing the tension to guide her. But now the weight of her actions bore down on her, leaving her with a deep sense of regret and confusion. Daniel's revelation hit her like a freight train, both a relief and a burden. "I wanted to see if our love could withstand anything," he had said, his voice steady but his eyes searching, as though he too wasn't sure what this all meant. Rachel wasn't sure if she felt betrayed or if she had somehow betrayed herself. The night had blurred the lines between loyalty and exploration, trust and temptation. Daniel's eyes held a vulnerability she hadn't seen before, but Rachel wasn't sure if it was enough to heal the rift that had formed between them. Was this the catalyst for their relationship's rebirth? Or the final crack in their foundation? Only time would tell, but Rachel knew the journey ahead would never be the same. The days following the intense confrontation between Rachel and Daniel were filled with an uneasy calm. Their once close connection now felt like a distant memory, replaced by the shadows of doubts and questions that hung heavily in the air. Rachel couldn't help but replay the events in her mind, wondering if the boundary they had crossed was something they could ever return from. The thrill of the night had dissolved into an overwhelming sense of confusion. Was she seeking excitement, or was it something deeper? A part of herself she had neglected in the monotony of life? Daniel's explanation lingered in her mind, his desire to test their bond, to push the limits of their relationship. But Rachel couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to his actions than simple curiosity. The love they once shared felt tangled now, corrupted by the choices they had made together. She didn't know how to move forward, but she knew the consequences were irreversible. As the days turned into weeks, the weight of the silence between them became unbearable. Rachel found herself questioning what they had built, what they had lost, and what they could salvage. The only thing she knew for certain was that the road ahead would be one of reckoning where only honesty could guide them through the wreckage they had created. In today's world, relationships are often tested by pressures and temptations, and the story of Rachel and Daniel highlights the importance of boundaries, trust, and communication. It's easy to get swept up in the excitement of new experiences or the thrill of breaking away from the routine. But true connection and long-lasting bonds are built on mutual respect and understanding. In your own life, take time to reflect on what matters most in your relationships. Open, honest conversations can help navigate difficult situations and prevent unnecessary confusion. Trust, once broken, takes effort and time to rebuild. Make choices that honor your values and respect your relationships.